How's it going, everybody? Dater here with North Central Coins, and welcome back to another episode of the most rare and valuable coins in Canada. Today we're going to be discussing a few Canadian pennies from the year 1948 and 1949, which, if you didn't know, have several different varieties that you can look for that can make them worth some pretty decent money. These Canadian penny varieties are extremely significant and sought after coins in the Canadian numismatic world. And because this penny has so many different variations, this may be a coin that you actually have a pretty decent chance of finding if you somehow have some pennies, or they make their way into your pocket change, or you are coin roll hunting. In this video, we will explore the historical context surrounding the production of these rare and valuable 1-cent coins and delve into why they hold such importance in Canadian numismatic history. Additionally, we will discuss any distinguishing and identifying features, their significance among collectors, and also potential value if you were ever to find a legitimate example. Before I do get into this, I would really appreciate if you guys would smash that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and also ring that bell notification so you can stay up to date with my new content. And also make sure to stay to the end of the video if you would like to find out how much you could get for these pennies if you did ever find one. And then without further ado, what do you say we get right into it and discuss the Canadian 1948 and 1949 penny varieties. Let's get it, guys. In the year 1939, Canada entered World War II. This period saw global tension as Canadian forces, along with those of Great Britain, France, eventually the United States, and other countries, fought against the Axis powers in Europe, Asia, and North Africa. Although World War II ended in the year 1945, much of the world remained in a state of socio-political turmoil for several years following the war. While operations at the Canadian Mint in Ottawa, Canada's capital city, returned to normal, on the other side of the world, India, which was part of the British Empire, was experiencing social upheaval. A movement for independence, largely led by anti-colonial activist Mahatma Gandhi, achieved its goal on August 15, 1947, when India finally became a fully independent nation. India's independence had implications for the ongoing production of Canadian coinage. Starting in the year 1937, during King George VI's reign, Canadian coins featured an inscription on the obverse side reading Georgius VI Rex ETIND, which is an abbreviation for the Latin phrase King George VI by the grace of God and Emperor of India. By the year 1948, new dies reflecting India's independence had not yet been prepared at the Royal Canadian Mint. As a result, the production of Canadian coins dated 1947 actually continued into 1948, and these coins would feature a small maple leaf to the bottom right-hand side of the 7 in the date. The limited mintage of Canadian coins in the year 1948 can be attributed to several factors, each playing a crucial role in shaping the production of coins during that period. The first was the change in inscription. One of the primary reasons for the reduced coin production in 1948 was the need to change the inscription on Canadian coins. Until that year, the coins bore the inscription ETIND, which signified that the reigning British monarch was also the Emperor of India. But in 1947, India gained its independence from British rule, and the British monarch was no longer the Emperor of India. This significant change necessitated the alteration of the coin inscriptions to reflect the new reality. The process of changing the inscription on coins involved the creation of new master dies and working punches. These tools were essential for minting coins with the updated design and inscription, replacing the ETIND. This process was time-consuming and intricate, leading to delays in acquiring the necessary dies and punches for the production of the coins with the new design. Due to the complexities involved in producing these new dies and punches, they were not actually available until late into 1948. This delayed the commencement of coin production with the updated designs, and as a result, coin production for that year had a late start, further limiting the number of coins that could be minted with the date 1948. Another noteworthy factor contributing to the limited coin production in 1948 was actually the lack of demand for dollar coins from specific regions in Canada. Cities such as Calgary, Halifax, St. John's, and Regina did not request any dollar coins for that year. This reduced the demand for specific denominations and also played a crucial role in the overall decrease in coin production. The scarcity of Canadian coins minted in the year 1948 can be attributed to the need for a significant change in coin inscriptions following India's independence. The time-consuming process of creating the new dies and working on punches, and also the late arrival of these tools, reduced demand for certain denominations in specific regions in Canada. These factors combined to make 1948 coins a unique and limited year in Canadian numismatic history, with relatively few coins minted compared to other years. Now, what makes these 1948 and 1949 pennies so special is not only their limited mintage, but also the fact that there are several different varieties that you can look for. These variations all gravitate around the positioning and size of the denticles and relativity with the text on the coin. The reason for all of these different varieties is they were probably doing some experimenting and trying to see what worked out the best, and they wanted to differentiate between the different coins that they were experimenting with, and the best way that they could do that is with changing the size and placement of the denticles and wording. So there are several different varieties for both the 1948 and 1949. There are 3 noteworthy varieties for the 1948 and 2 for the 1949. Now for the 1948, there are small and large denticle varieties, and it can affect the value depending on the size of the denticle. For the 1949, the size does not matter as much, only the orientation of the last A in gratia and relativity to the denticles. So what you want to do is look at the top of the A, and if it points directly to a denticle, then you have yourself one of the rare varieties. Now for the 1948, you want it to point towards a small denticle. That is the rarest of the 3 different varieties, and the A to the large denticle is also fairly valuable as well. Now with the 1949, you also want that last A in gratia to point directly to one of the denticles, and if you can identify that, it is the rarer of the 2 varieties. So what I'm going to do is give you guys some of the details and specifications for both of these pennies, and then I'll go through and read off the different values for the different and most valuable varieties that you can look for. So the 1948 and 1949 pennies are composed of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, 1.5% zinc. They have a weight of 3.24 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. The obverse was designed and engraved by T.H. Paget, and the reverse was designed and engraved by G.E. Gray. The edge of the coin is smooth, it is non-magnetic, and it has a diaxis in metal alignment, as is the standard for most Canadian, British, and Australian coins. So what I'll do is go through and give you guys first the low end values for the different rare varieties for the 1948 and 1949 pennies, and then I will give you guys the MS values for these coins as well. They can be super valuable if you do find them and they are in really good shape, and never say never, because I've done penny hunts and found some older George VI coins that were almost hitting the MS mark. So first we'll start with the 1948. Now, the rare variety that you want to look for the 1948 is the A points directly to the small denticle. Now, if you can identify that, it can be worth even $1 in a VG, which is pretty much the bottom of the Sheldon scale, not at the absolute bottom, but it is a pretty beat up and worn penny, and you are getting 100 times its face value. That is a pretty extreme premium, and you don't often see premiums like that at the low end for Canadian coins. Now, it can be worth around $30 for an AU 50 example, and that is for the 1948 A points to small denticle penny. Now, for the 1949, you are looking for the A points to the denticle. This one is actually a little bit more rare and valuable than the 1948. This one can be worth around $6.70 in a VG8, so that is the same grade as the previous one. Not right at the bottom of the Sheldon scale, but pretty darn close. So even if you found one and it is beat up and worn, you can still get a couple dollars for this penny, which is a huge premium for a coin that only has a face value of 1 cent. It can be worth around $41 for an AU50 example, which is right before you hit the MS mark. So the 1949 A points to denticle is the rarest of all of these penny varieties that you can look for. Now, when you start to get into the MS range, the 1948 A points to large denticle is not quite as valuable as the A points to small denticle, but it is still worth some decent money. It can be worth around $6.50 for an MS60. It can be worth around $364 for an MS65, but then you see a massive price jump, as currently there is an MS66 graded example that is evaluated at around $1,620. So that tells you that there probably aren't too many high grade examples of this coin out there. So if you ever happen to come across any uncirculated rolls of 1948s or 1949s, don't think about them, buy them. But the rarer of the 1948s that you can look for is the A points to small denticle. If you can identify the last A in Gratia and it is pointing to a small denticle, it can be worth around $70 for an MS60 and all the way up to $882 for an MS65, which is currently the highest graded known example. Now this one is at least twice as valuable as the 1948 A points to large denticle. It's worth around $521 for an MS65, but the previous A points to large denticle penny was worth $1,620 for an MS66. So considering that the highest graded known example of this coin is only an MS65, if you did ever find one of those and it did score any higher, you could easily be talking a $2,000 to $5,000 penny, and that is for the 1948 A points to small denticle. Now for the 1949, you are looking for the A points to denticle. This one is actually the most rare and valuable of all of the different pennies that you can look for. It is worth around $70 for an MS60, and even though that is still technically a mint state penny, your chances of being able to score in the low MS region are not impossible when it comes to coins like King George VI if you do happen to come across a penny box, or maybe you go to your local coin shop and you buy a big old bag of scrap pennies. That's what I have actually done in the past, and I have found some really amazing stuff. So the 1949 A points to denticle can be worth around $71 for an MS60, so that could actually be a huge premium. Even if you sent this to be graded by PCGS, you could still make a profit off of this coin if you did identify a legitimate example. Now the highest graded known example currently for the 1949 A points to denticle is an MS66, and it is currently evaluated at $13,900. That is a whole lot of money for a penny that you actually have a decent chance of finding. I have found plenty of 1949s in my coin roll hunt. I have not found any of the super rare varieties, but I will definitely keep my eyes open for this penny, and you guys definitely should too. It never hurts to be armed with a little bit of knowledge so you don't accidentally throw a coin back into circulation that could be worth thousands of dollars, if not more. Now, what do you guys think about these Canadian penny varieties? What would you do if you ever found a legitimate example, or if you ever have found any of the coins discussed in this video? Let me know down in the comments. I would love to know. Also, I would really appreciate if you guys would smash that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and also ring that bell notification so you can stay up to date with my new content. But I think that is pretty much going to do it for this one, folks. So until the next one, everybody, peace out and have a good one, y'all.